Nobody suspected that the newest member of the overnight cleaning crew at Sterling Industries was actually worth $300 million. Victoria Sterling had convinced her father's head of security to create a false identity, complete with work history and references, so she could spend 6 months learning about her family's company from the ground up before taking over as CEO. At 28, Victoria had grown tired of boardroom presentations that painted rosy pictures of employee satisfaction and company culture. She wanted to see the reality of how Sterling Industries treated its workers, how the business actually functioned when the executives went home, and whether the company her grandfather had built still deserved the family name. Focus on the executive floors, her supervisor had instructed on her first night 2 weeks ago. The big shots are particular about their spaces, and they complain if anything is out of place. So here Victoria was, wearing a borrowed grey cleaning uniform and yellow rubber gloves, meticulously scrubbing the marble floors of the 58th floor. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see the city lights twinkling below, the same view she would have from her corner office once she officially took control of the company. The irony was not lost on her that she was on her knees cleaning the floors of the building she would soon own, but the experience had already taught her more about Sterling Industries than 20 years of family dinners and quarterly reports. She had learned that the night security guards were understaffed and overworked, that the cleaning supplies were cheap and harsh on workers' hands, and that the break room for service employees was a cramped, windowless space with broken furniture and a coffee machine that had not worked in months. Victoria was so absorbed in her work and her thoughts about employee conditions that she did not notice the sound of footsteps approaching from the executive corridor. "You must be the new cleaner everyone has been talking about." Victoria looked up to see a man in his early 30s standing in the doorway of one of the senior management offices. He had dark hair, intelligent brown eyes, and wore a well-tailored navy suit that suggested middle or upper management. Most importantly, his expression held genuine warmth rather than the condescension she had expected. "I am sorry if I am disturbing your work," Victoria said, quickly getting to her feet. "I can move to a different area if you need to access your office." "No disturbance at all," the man replied with a friendly smile. "I am Derek Mitchell, Director of Operations. I was just working late and noticed how thorough you are with the cleaning. It is refreshing to see someone who takes pride in their work." Victoria felt a flutter of nervousness that had nothing to do with being caught by management. Derek Mitchell was exactly the kind of employee she had hoped to find at Sterling Industries, someone who recognized good work regardless of the job title and treated service employees with respect. "I am Victoria," she said, using the first name from her false identity. "And thank you. I believe that any job worth doing is worth doing well." "I completely agree," Derek said, and Victoria could tell he meant it. "How long have you been with the cleaning service?" "Just 2 weeks," Victoria replied honestly. "I'm still learning the routines." "Well, you are doing an excellent job," Derek said. "Can I ask you something? Have you noticed any issues with supplies or equipment? I have been trying to get feedback about working conditions for all our service contractors, but it is hard to get honest answers through official channels." Victoria was surprised by his question. Here was a middle manager actively seeking information about employee welfare, exactly the kind of leadership she hoped existed within her company. "The cleaning supplies are quite harsh," Victoria said carefully. "They irritate workers' skin, and some of the equipment needs maintenance. But most of the cleaning staff are afraid to complain because they do not want to lose their jobs." Derek's expression grew serious. "That should not be the case. Everyone deserves safe working conditions, regardless of their position. Would you be willing to help me document these issues so we can address them properly?" Victoria felt her heart skip. "You would listen to feedback from cleaning staff?" "Victoria, good ideas can come from anyone, and the people doing the work often have the best insights about how to improve processes," Derek said with conviction. "I have been at Sterling Industries for 5 years, and I have learned that the companies that succeed are the ones that value every employee's contribution." Over the following weeks, Victoria found herself looking forward to the evenings when Derek worked late. He would always greet her warmly, ask about her day, and often stay to chat while she worked. More importantly, he followed through on his promises, implementing several improvements to working conditions based on her suggestions. "You know," Derek said one evening as Victoria organized papers in the conference room, You have remarkable insights about business operations for someone in the cleaning industry." Victoria felt a moment of panic. "I have always been observant about how organizations function." "It is more than that," Derek continued thoughtfully. "You understand workflow efficiency, employee motivation, and operational costs in ways that suggest formal business education. Did you study management before this job?" Victoria hesitated, realizing that her business knowledge was showing despite her efforts to blend in. "I took some college courses in business administration," she said, which was technically true since she had an MBA from Wharton. "Have you ever considered applying for positions within Sterling Industries beyond cleaning?" Derek asked. "We have several entry-level management positions opening up, and I think you would be an excellent candidate." Victoria felt touched by his genuine interest in her career advancement, and guilty about the deception that made his kindness even more meaningful. "I appreciate that, Derek. You have been incredibly supportive." "You deserve support," Derek replied. "Victoria, I hope this does not sound inappropriate, but would you like to have coffee sometime? Not as manager to contractor, but as two people who enjoy talking with each other." Victoria felt her carefully constructed plan becoming complicated by real emotions. She had not expected to develop feelings for someone she met while working undercover, especially someone who had no idea about her true identity. "I would like that very much," she said, meaning it completely. Their first coffee date led to dinner, then weekend walks, then long conversations about their dreams and values. Derek spoke passionately about his work at Sterling Industries, about his hope that the company would continue to treat employees fairly when new leadership eventually took over. "I have heard rumors that the founder's granddaughter is going to become CEO soon," Derek said during one of their dinners. "I hope she understands that this company's strength comes from every person who works here, not just the executives." Victoria felt her stomach tighten. "What do you think of the Sterling family?" "I respect what they built," Derek said thoughtfully, "but I worry about entitled second and third generation wealth. People who have never had to work for anything sometimes do not understand the value of other people's labor. And if the new CEO proved to be different than you expected?" Victoria asked quietly. "Then I would be thrilled to be wrong," Derek replied with a smile. "But in my experience, people who grow up in luxury rarely connect with the struggles of working people." That night, Victoria lay awake thinking about Derek's words and the impossible situation she had created. She was falling in love with a man who might reject her once he learned the truth about her wealth and position, but she was also discovering that her feelings for him were teaching her exactly what kind of leader she wanted to become. The next morning, Victoria made a decision that would change both their lives. She requested a meeting with Derek in his office, arriving not in her cleaning uniform but in the business attire that reflected her true identity. "Victoria," Derek said in confusion as she entered his office. "What are you doing here? And why are you dressed like an executive?" Victoria finished, taking a deep breath. "Derek, I need to tell you something important about who I really am." Over the next hour, Victoria explained her deception, her reasons for working undercover, and her genuine feelings for him. Derek listened with expressions that moved from shock to hurt to understanding and back to confusion. "You are Victoria Sterling," Derek said finally, "the heiress who is taking over as CEO." "I am," Victoria confirmed. "But I am also the woman who has spent the past month falling in love with a man who sees value in every person's work, who fights for fair treatment of employees, and who judges people by their character rather than their bank accounts." Derek was quiet for a long moment. "Victoria, how do I know that any of this was real? How do I know you were not just studying me like a specimen for your corporate research?" "Because of this," Victoria said, pulling out a folder of documents. "These are the changes I am implementing on my first day as CEO, all based on what I learned while working alongside the cleaning staff and talking with you. Improved working conditions, better benefits for contractors, establishment of an employee feedback program, and promotion of Derek Mitchell to Vice President of Employee Relations." Derek stared at the documents, then back at Victoria's face. "You want to promote me?" "I want to work with you to build the kind of company that values every employee," Victoria said. "Derek, you showed kindness to someone you thought was just a cleaner. You listened to suggestions from the lowest paid person in the building and acted on them. That tells me everything I need to know about your character.